Consultants in Cleaning, LLC is pleased to announce their new training DVD entitled Customer Relations, Training for Supervisors and Cleaning Techs. This DVD is a must for your training library. Dick Ollek, CBSE, defines customer relations and all that it entails, and then guides the participants to do exercises giving them a sound understanding of the part they have in satisfying the customer. Dick conducts the session as if he were in the room with the participants. So go to www.consultantsincleaning.com and click on the DVD section to order. We'll both be glad you did. Welcome to Tripodcast, episode 227. It's Monday, July 2nd, and Dick Ollek wants to talk about how to make your training program more effective. In this Tripodcast, Dick shares 2 tips to really amp up your training program. Let's listen in.
In this Tripodcast, I want to review just a couple of tips that can make maybe the training of your employees more effective. Although there are several ways to do that, I want to cover 2 what I think are very important. And the first one of those is letting the learner participate in what you're doing. And here I want to talk about how do you do that? Well, for one thing, I want to suggest to you, you don't spend hours lecturing. That's the old method, that we learned back in the olden days when the covered wagons were coming across, when I was coming into the business. We sat there and listened to somebody pontificate for hours on how to do something, and it did give me a chance to get caught up on my sleep. But nevertheless, we got to let the people participate, and the younger generation really wants to do that more so than the older people. I suggest in your training that you have round tables so that people can have a discussion going at the table that they are. They can communicate better. In fact, any workshop that I do, I always make that a requirement, that we have round tables there so that we can sit 5 people around the table, and it gives them an opportunity to communicate with each other. And as we do the exercises that we're going to do on how to learn, it gives them a chance to have a discussion going. You see, if you use a lot of group exercises, you find out how much they know, and it's a great way for them to also learn. You have them discuss with each other a particular exercise, and then have them report back to you their findings. And then we all learn, because we're teaching them also some things that you may not have thought about. You're also teaching them some communication skills, so that if you have them talking around the table, and then you say, I want the person with the shortest hair at that table to report back the findings of your group on this particular exercise that we're doing. You get and ask them to stand, and so the knees are knocking. Don't worry about it. Some of the best people that I had that did training for me were people that were just shaking with a piece of paper when you asked them to speak. But that's how they learn their communication skills. So that's the way you let them. That's how they learn to participate in the learning process. Because, as much as this may sound strange to you, I'm going to suggest as a leader, you don't necessarily have all the answers. And there may be some things that you can learn from the group yourself that would astound you. Get it? Okay, now let's go on to the next one. Make the training fun. Now, how do we do that? Well, one of the ways I've had a good time doing it is make a joke on yourself. Let them know that you don't know everything about the business. And I've had a couple that were very obvious in my business. And one was we were doing a carpet spotting class in our company one time, and I'm trying to show my expertise, as the great leader, the great grand poopah, how to do the carpet spotting. And finally, Marie, one of my lead people, came. She said, "Get out of the way. You don't know what you're doing. Let me show this group how to spot a carpet." And she did, and they learned. But that was, and I've used that in my teaching ever since then is that, I didn't know that. I mean, I was doing it and I was kind of botching it up, but she knew how to do it. She'd been doing, she was the one on the job every night. I wasn't. I hadn't done it for a while, but it was, and of course she never let me forget it either. But that was fun. That was, I didn't care. My point was I wanted to teach them how to spot carpet, and how we got the point across was irrelevant. Now some people maybe have an ego that won't allow them to do that. Well, then get over it. Let them go ahead and learn. Now another one was that some of you may be old enough to remember when propane buffers came out, and I was asked by one of the manufacturers to try out their new model. So I took it out to one of the Target stores that we were cleaning, and of course everybody was excited about this new propane buffer. So I decided to go down, and as we crank it up, there's some black smoke coming out of out of it, and one of the gentlemen that worked with me or worked there at the store said, I got a screwdriver, we can just adjust that little bit, and I think that'll stop. And I said, oh, no, that's okay, that'll be fine. Well, it kind of stopped, and as I'm going down the aisle with the buffer, all of a sudden a black smoke just comes tailing out of there. It was unbelievable. Almost like fire coming out of there. And as I was going by ladies' polyester pantsuits, they became lady polyester short suits, because we just made a black streak across the ladies' polyester suits. Well, and of course I then suggested maybe we ought to adjust it like the guy had suggested to begin with, and which we did. And then of course I said, here guys, run it. Oh no, they didn't want to. They weren't about to do that. If the boss couldn't make it run, how are they going to make it run? Well, that was a good story on myself. That's got a lot of mileage in our training in our company. And so those are kind of, make some good jokes on yourself where things didn't work so well when you were trying, because it makes you human. They know that the boss had to learn just as well. Use lots of props. Use different ways of doing things. Use DVDs. Use if you've ever seen my lessons on the many hats of supervision. I use a lot of I use a fire engine hat. I use a lot of different hats in that. But that keeps the enthusiasm going. And use lots of color. Use different color magic markers. Use all kinds of different things, all for prizes. One of the most effective ones I've always had is just putting either dollar or bills in an envelope or coupons for groceries, and then letting people, if something really happened, great, letting somebody pick, and different denominations, anywhere from $10 up to $100, and so you give some money away. But here's the point: you get somebody to all of a sudden pulls a $50 bill out of an envelope. Guess what? Everybody else in the company, everybody else in the class is wanting to answer you. Then they want to give you answers, and all of a sudden you got the whole group wanting to answer. So these are some fun ways to do. These are just a couple that work very, very effectively. Let me suggest to you, use them, and you'll have a lot more effective training in your organization.
You've been listening to a Tripodcast, short video and audio presentation about important topics in our industry. If you're a current subscriber to the Tripodcast, thank you. We appreciate it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please check it out. It's free and it's easy. Come to www.tripodcast.com, enter your email address on the right-hand column, and click subscribe. We'll send you out a new Tripodcast every Monday morning.